Dynasty Wonderland.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back. I know it's been a minute, but welcome back to the Dynasty Wonderland podcast. That's right, with me, the Mad Chatter, Ryan MK, and of course, always by my side, the man, the salary cap tan, Mr. Aaron. What is up, my buddy? How's it going?
Oh, life is good, man. Life is good. We've just had the first day of like unofficial free agency. Is that what we want to call it? So it's an exciting time, but I'm doing good. It's been a good while since you and I have podcasts. Like I've been doing a couple of small shows with Captain's Cabin, but I gotta say, we're reunited. It feels so good. How are you doing, my friend?
I'm good, man. I'm enjoying, you know me, I'm kind of a fan of chaos. So there's been a good amount of it here in the NFL, although I feel like there could have been a little bit more. We'll get into that. But yeah, pretty good. I'm ready to talk some football. And I say we get into it and we start with all the quarterback news that's been going on as of late. So we had Aaron Rodgers stay put in Green Bay. Russell Wilson traded to, right here in the Mile High City, traded to the Denver Broncos. So that's interesting. You had Carson Wentz go to the Washington Commanders. That was interesting to say the least. We'll talk more about that. Brady unretiring, Kirk Cousins extension. Give me some thoughts on this stuff, and I'll kind of roll with you on it. So what you got as far as the QB situation here as of recent?
Well, let's start with Mr. Tom Brady. The GOAT is back after a 1 month retirement. That's kind of been the trend in the NFL, right? Retirement just means I'm going to take some time off and I'll come back. But wow, what a bombshell. Literally the evening before free agency kicks off and Brady goes, I'm back. One of the funny things was he was trying to get some of his guys back. He got his center back with the Buccaneers, but one of the offensive linemen, he reached out to him, said, I'm back. Let's run it back. And that guy said, kind of already got this contract with a different team. That's the guard Alex Kappa with the Bengals there. So, that is a little bit of karma there. Brady, you can't just come in, steal the headlines of March Madness and everything and expect things to go perfectly well. Like you wait that long, that's kind of the consequence there. But the GOAT, he's back, and I'm sure he'll be fine. That division's wide open. Like none of the other teams have quarterbacks. So
well, we'll see. I'll get into that in a little bit. But as far as Brady, I would say, this will be interesting. There's a couple of things here. One, there are some that believe do a lot. I listen to a lot of PFT. They do a lot of good reporting. So you hear some of these things, and there was a little bit of chatter of maybe Miami trying to go after Brady again. There was also a little chatter of Mr. Kyle Shanahan not being at the combine around the same time that Brady was in that area. So there's some weird things going on. Maybe Brady's retirement was him trying to get it away to another team, and things didn't work out. The Bucs left the light on. They didn't get another quarterback. Things didn't just pan out. He still wants to play, so he's coming back to the Bucs. None of that confirmed anything like that, but there was definitely, for sure, some interest from the Miami Dolphins. Now, as far as, I guess I'll go ahead and bring this part into it now. When you say, not really any other quarterbacks in that division. Well, Deshaun Watson, not a fan of talking about this dude in particular, seems like a scumbag, but football wise, he has been cleared of criminal charges. So it looks like the punishment not that there could still be punishment for him, but it seems his long-term future is a little less in doubt now. So teams are interested again, and it seems as though he has met Today, he met with Carolina, New Orleans. And then I believe tomorrow he's potentially meeting with some other teams. So there is a chance that the NFC South not only has the unretired Tom Brady, but a Deshaun Watson in the division as well. And so we'll see what happens with that. But it does seem like Watson's going to get moved this year. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. But yeah, I mean, with Russ out of the NFC, and we'll get into that next, I guess, if you want to give me your thoughts on that. I mean, really, there's not a lot of teams in the NFC with those top caliber quarterbacks that, so I mentioned Russ moving on. What do you think about Russ in the orange and blue?
I love that. I mean, I guess the past year plus, we've been going, oh, Aaron Rodgers to Denver. We knew that Denver's been planning to do something at quarterback, right? And plenty of podcasts over the past year, we've talked about how Denver has a pretty stacked team at a lot of key positions except quarterback. But it was a perfect situation. Of course, Russell Wilson waived his no trade clause. That's a key thing there, is that Russell Wilson didn't have to go to Denver unless he wanted to. And it makes a lot of sense. He's going there. He has all these weapons. I will say, I don't know what the heck Seattle's doing. My only big complaint on that trade is, why did they want Drew Lock as part of that? That just has left scratching my head, but kudos to Denver. Nothing that they gave up was anything that they're going to miss. Like, yes, they gave up Noah Fant. Oh, they've got Alberto, who is, from a athleticism standpoint, he's a clone of Noah Fant. So they just goes to show that the way to build teams is, hey, when you're in draft and you're in free agency, like, don't just go after needs. Like, hey, just try to find those good deals. Make your team the best it can be, because you never know when an opportunity like that will appear. So props to the Broncos. That division's going to be crazy, as you mentioned.
Sure is.
It's nuts. Poor Raiders fans. I'm sorry, Raiders. You've got no chance.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting. There was some rumors about Carr potentially being moved. We'll have to see, because there are still teams out there needing a quarterback, Seattle being one of them. You look at New Orleans, Carolina, Seattle, Cleveland doesn't seem to be completely sold on Baker Mayfield. Like, there's a lot of
the Giants could maybe do something too.
There's a lot of potential moving parts still. You could take Pittsburgh maybe off. I guess they're signing Mitchell Trubisky. And everybody seems to think his time in Buffalo showed that he wasn't the entire problem in Chicago. I still don't have any faith in that dude, but I guess we'll see what he can do in Pittsburgh. But I really do. And you know me, not a Broncos fan. But being in the Mile High City, it's pretty cool he's coming here. And like you said, people have some questions with him. Is he losing mobility, things like that? And I'm like, hey, man, a couple of seasons ago, they were lighting it up until teams started figuring out their offense, and they struggled a little. And then last year, hey, it was a bad year. Reports that teammates felt Russ wasn't completely into it. And if he was halfway out the door and he was injured, yeah, he probably wasn't 100% into it. So I'm looking to see what happens with a rejuvenated Russ. And I think in Denver, we get a Russ renaissance. And yeah, this division is going to be crazy. I mean, you got Herbert, Russ, Mahomes. This is just, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So
primetime games right there.
Huh?
Primetime games in the AFC West.
Oh, man. Yeah.
Each game is going to feel like it has playoff implications.
Indeed. So what else do you got on any of these other quarterback situations? Do you got anything else?
I will briefly talk about Trubisky there, because the contract is an interesting one. It's on its surface, it's a 2-year, $14 million deal. I'm honestly a little surprised, because it seemed like he could get more on the open market, because, as you mentioned, there was a bunch of hype. And I do think that he is deserving of this opportunity to show, like, he could completely flame out. That's perfectly fine. I would say that with this contract too, 2 years, that's not much of a commitment. I'm sure without looking at the details that it could very easily be a contract that they can get out of after 1 year. If Trubisky goes out and plays like what we saw in Chicago. Now it's incentive heavy. It's like it can get up to 27 million. So that's the smart way to have structured this contract. So knowing that, I go, hey, that contract, I got no problems with. Like that is, to me, it seems to be a low risk, high reward type deal. If Trubisky is great, they're going to get a nice bargain. They're not overpaying for him. Good move for the Steelers. I think it's a better alternative than trading all the assets to get Deshaun Watson, because the Steelers team, the Broncos were a quarterback away. The Steelers are a quarterback and an offensive line and a defense away. So it makes more sense to go Trubisky route. I don't really think there was anything notable. Teddy Bridgewater signed a 1-year deal.
That's right.
There will be the Tua doubters there. It will be interesting to see. It is a new regime, so we'll see. But I thought Bridgewater would have gotten a better deal, but that's been the number one takeaway. Arguably the 2 top free agent quarterbacks not really getting big money deals in free agency.
Yep. Yeah,
especially with the Colts there. Like the Colts, I would have thought.
Yeah, because I've got a few. Oh, I'm sorry. Keep going.
Oh no. That's all I want to say is they have money. They're just once again sitting on it. So I know their fan base is pretty restless there.
Well, they traded away Wentz, which kudos to them. I'm not entirely sure what Washington is doing. I know they were desperately trying to find a quarterback. They couldn't get Aaron Rodgers. They couldn't get Russell Wilson. So they settled on Carson Wentz. Okay, we'll see what happens. Don't have a lot of faith. And then the Colts were rumored to be interested in Jimmy G. And I'm like, what the fuck is the difference between Jimmy G and Carson Wentz? What are you doing? What are you doing? So there's Jimmy G still floating out there. But yeah, apparently Indianapolis also asked permission to talk to Deshaun Watson. But of course, the Houston Texans were like, no. So yeah, they're kind of in a bind. Yeah, they got out from under the Carson Wentz contract, but now, they kind of need a quarterback, and options are getting pretty thin. So it is interesting. And then I just have 2 things. Just 2 things quick. Aaron Rodgers. I think it's well known, if you listen to this pod, that the dude irritates the shit out of me. But all of this, just to stay in Green Bay. Now, don't get me wrong. I would have been not happy if he had come to Denver. So I'm glad that didn't happen. I did not want that motherfucker here. But it's just kind of there's the difference between like a him and a Brady. Brady, he's going to go after it, and Aaron Rodgers is content to stay put, and they're going to, continue to do what they do and have good regular seasons, and then not be good enough in the playoffs because they're not good enough. Like, it's just what it is. It is what it is. My opinion, of course. And then Kirk Cousins, used to root for the Vikings. So I always got my eye on him in a little bit, and was a little impressed with the GM hiring, the coach hiring. And then rumors come out that Kirk Cousins was really pushing for McConnell. And I'm like, oh no. But then Kirk Cousins starts popping up in trade rumors. And I'm like, yeah. Get rid of that motherfucker. And then the extension comes with the no trade clause. And all you can say is, I guess the Vikings are, good with being mediocre. I mean, that's what this is the same shit, just a different coach and GM. It's the same shit. So that's just kind of infuriating. Some of these teams, I don't know what they're doing. Other ones, I love what they're doing. I love what Denver's doing. But so we'll see what happens with Watson and Jimmy G. But there's clearly been a lot of quarterback business going on, and it doesn't look to be done because there is a good chance Cleveland does something. I mean, like I said, one of these teams, I mean, there's still got to be room for those rookie quarterbacks. There's got to be places for them to go. So there's going to be, yeah, man, quarterback carousel stuff going on in the NFL. It's insane. Okay. Moving on. Did you have anything else there?
No, the one other quarterback to at least be watching is Gardner Minshew. He's He's involved in trade rumors. That would be a perfect. It's cheap. It's a cheap contract, and it's 1 year. So I'm curious because I was hearing some Colts in Minshew because they are familiar with him since he played for the Jaguars. So,
and honestly, for the Colts, that might be the best route to go.
That may be the only thing they can trade for, because with the Colts, I know a lot of people. I'll say the difficult thing with Garoppolo is whether we like it or not, Garoppolo probably is going to cost the team a first-round pick to acquire. And it's probably the same for Cousins. Right. Like they only started to kind of get some draft picks. So Minshew is like the only quarterback they could trade for that I think is within their price range in terms of draft assets.
Right. Yeah, it's going to be interesting. All right. Well, we'll keep an eye on all the quarterback stuff, but we move on to other news. And, let's begin with Calvin Ridley getting suspended for gambling. And the craziest thing about this is, to me, I'm just got a couple thoughts on it. And look, I get it. It's a pretty obvious rule. If you're in the NFL, don't do that shit. However, I do think the 1 year ban, and that seems to be automatic going back to previous incidents of this in the NFL. That seems to be the norm. I have a real problem with that being the norm. And then players who beat the shit out of a woman getting like 4 games or 6 games, or you know what I mean? Like, and I also have a problem with there being the circumstance not being taken into situation, or the situation not being taken into account. Like with this, clearly this dude wasn't a gambler. If you heard about what his bet was, and he's doing it on an app, very obviously, like my guess is he was a little drunk and was just trying to have some fun. It was apparently I forgot all the details since I first got this show sheet together, to be honest, but it's not like he was sitting here fixing games and doing things like that. You know what I mean? That's the point I'm trying to make. The punishment seems a little severe. I get there's kind of a 1 year norm that's been going on, but I mean, come on, common sense. Take some of this shit into context, I think. And so it's tough, but there you go. A year for Calvin Ridley. And it's tough because, he could have been a big piece of that Atlanta team trying to turn shit around. And now they're out him.
Yeah, there is a lot to dive into the Calvin Ridley thing. And the first thing that I want to say is that I am 100% with you. It's one of those weird things. You go on Twitter when the Calvin Ridley news broke and everyone talked about exactly what you mentioned. Like he's getting a year because he was betting on sports. But there's players that beat the heck out of wives, girlfriends, or just loose women that they've met, or like Ben Roethlisberger situations, or really truthfully, like the Deshaun Watson eventual punishment. I mean, I'm waiting. Yeah, I'm waiting for like the typical 6 games, right? And I think it's like both can be true. Those types of crimes should be punished harsher by the NFL, because it's something that really needs to be just taken out of the world, not just the NFL. And harsher punishments would discourage at least some of that. Some people are just, they're horrible human beings. Right. Now, for the gambling too, it's like the other side on that is like that has been standard for NFL, for really all sports. It's like they don't want, ironically, they don't want betting in their sports. Although, if you watch any NFL game, they're sponsoring DraftKings and stuff. So there is kind of this double standard there. which that is definitely a problem. But will the NFL address it? Probably not, because money. But it's for people going, oh, that's too harsh for Calvin Ridley. It's like, well, technically that is just the rules. That's the punishment. And that's what they tell people coming into the NFL. Don't do it. Like, that's part of like the rookie, I don't know, would that be rookie training with their money? Like, is don't be stupid. Don't get involved with betting, because especially now more than ever, they will find out. It was something with like his username, and they're able to like track the GPS and get it back to the phone. Like, you just can't hide this stuff. You really can't.
Right.
It's unfortunate, and you just hope that. I think I am with you that it seems that it is as innocent as it could be, right? It's not. He wasn't playing in the games. Even though like he was actually betting on the Falcons, but I think he bet on the Falcons to win. But you just hope that, because it seemed that he came forward with it, and with him being transparent and not trying to like hide it, that maybe it's just serve your 1-year suspension, get reinstated. Now, the unfortunate thing is he's going to be up there in age for a guy that's still on his rookie contract. I want to say he'll be 29, I think, when his contract expires, because what will happen is he is entering the final year of his contract, but because he's suspended, it rolls over to next season. So yeah, right now he is 27. That means next year he'll be 28. And when his contract's up, he'll be 29. So, oof.
Yeah, it's
poor
tough.
Calvin Ridley.
And hey, I do agree with you. They have had this standard of the 1 year, and I get that they definitely have to protect the integrity of the game, right? And particularly now that they've taken on gambling as a partner, and I guess just it's one of the things that makes me sick about the league is that there's no consistency. They'll go after players and investigate the shit out of Tom Brady's deflated balls, right? But then, some of this other shit that goes on with the owners, they don't want to talk about. They don't want to make it public. They want to hide it all. And it's way worse than deflated balls, guaranteed. So I don't like it. And then you even look at what is my cat doing? My cat has lost his fucking mind. He's been scratching the couch now, running again. He's lost it. She's lost her mind. Anyway.
She's a Calvin Ridley fan,
I guess, or something. I'm like freaking out about this Ridley business. But yeah. So, and it's the same thing with this. It's like you're gonna go this hard after a play. Okay, something needs to be done about officiating, because eventually that's going to become a problem, like pertaining to gambling. And it's like the way they treated it this past season was just ridiculous. So I don't know. I'm going to quit ranting on it, but it's just like, I think it's just overall, it sucks, because you got to feel for Calvin, and it definitely seems mostly harmless. But yeah, I mean, as a company, they got to protect the integrity of the league. So they got to do what they got to do. I mean, all right, moving on. We got more wide receiver news. We got plenty of wide receiver news, from re-signing to free agency. But before free agency, we did have another trade, and this one involving Amari Cooper going to Cleveland. You had franchise tags, not a lot of big name type stuff, but you did have Devontae Adams, who sounds like he's going to cause a ruckus and doesn't want to play on that tag. And then you got Michael Gallup and Mike Williams re-signing with their teams, the Cowboys and the Chargers, respectively. So that's kind of what's been going on non-free agency wise before we get to the free agency stuff. So what are your thoughts on some of these transactions, Mr. Aaron?
Well, I will say that all of the pre-free agency stuff is kind of tied together, right? Because we saw franchise tags, right? There was 3 big things that happened. There was Adams and Godwin got tagged, and those franchise tags are going to be expensive. And then what happened is the Chargers came in. The Chargers said, guys, we got Justin Herbert on a rookie contract. and we are going to take full advantage of that. So
Right.
the first thing they did, they locked up Mike Williams, 3-year, $60 million deal. So between two expensive franchise tags and Mike Williams signing a multi-year contract, paying him $20 million on average, that actually kind of led into the Amari Cooper thing, because the Cowboys fan, I got a little bit of insight on this one. The Cowboys were not going to pay Amari Cooper his $20 million salary, and there wasn't a lot of guaranteed money. It was a really easy contract. Now, what people are kind of shocked about is the trade compensation itself. However, I will say the Cowboys were prepared to just straight up cut Amari Cooper, and I think everyone around the NFL were ready for that. They're like, the Cowboys have cap problems. They're not going to keep Amari Cooper with a $20 million salary. They said, go ahead, cut Amari Cooper. We'll go and sign him, which then leads into the question, why did a team actually trade anything for Amari Cooper? And I think it's because all those big names that stayed on their teams for big money deals, people suddenly go, if Cooper gets cut and he becomes maybe the top guy, the top receiver on the free agent market, he's probably going to get a higher salary and more guaranteed money. So then that kind of led into the Cowboys going, oh yeah, did we say we were going to release him? Oh, we're going to shop him, and we want a third, but we'll take a fourth. And what they do, they accepted a 5th round pick essentially for Amari Cooper. So when people then go, how did the Cowboys only get a 5th rounder? The truth is they were going to move on from him. The fact that they got anything has to be, I guess, some sort of win for them, but Cleveland, that will be interesting.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I guess it really depends what happens at quarterback. I mean, I do wonder if Cooper would be someone that would gel well with Baker, but on the other hand, is Baker going to be there? So that one is definitely interesting. And yeah, I'd forgotten about Chris Godwin getting franchise tag, but yeah. So yeah, that did kind of lead up onto that. And the Chargers weren't done making moves because I know we're mainly on offense, but just very quickly getting into free agency, the Chargers went ahead and, well, before free agency, traded for Khalil Mack. And then free agency, they got one of the top players in the free agent market, cornerback JC Jackson. So they are just fucking loading up on defense. They're doing their thing on offense. This is going to be, man, again, that division is going to be crazy.
It's going to be a bloodbath. Oh man.
But we get into free agency and Jacksonville spending a lot of money. They go after Christian Kirk. They go after Zay Jones. They go after Evan Engram. I like Christian Kirk. But why is Zay Jones? I just don't get what is it that I'm missing? I know he does the cool trick where he gets off the field and he has a nice catch every once in a while, but what am I missing that, the Raiders went and signed him and now he was sought after by the Jaguars? Like what is going on here?
I think with Zay Jones, this is a guy that's had a troubled past. He had the incident years ago, right? Where like he was trying to jump out of a hotel room. He clearly was messed up on something, but it really seemed to be kind of a turning point for him because it's a player that's got all the athletic abilities and he has high draft capital and kind of was able to rebuild himself with the Raiders.
Yeah, a little bit, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, after the unfortunate Henry Ruggs situation, he was able to step into a role. Now, is he going to be a Pro Bowl receiver? No, but he does fit a role. He's a field stretcher. That is one good thing that he does. That skill will keep you employed in the NFL. I don't think the contract is the worst because he especially in the last few weeks of the season, and recency bias does affect everyone, including NFL decision makers and free agency. I mean, he had in week 17 an 8-catch, 120-yard game, and he had, so going back to week 12, 2, 4, 6, 7 games, including the playoffs, 7 of those final 8 games, he caught 5 passes, at least 5 passes, 7 of those 8 games. Hey, team's going, that's not bad. Is he a number 1 option? No. Is he a number 2? Not ideally, but certainly a guy that 3 receiver sets, like especially as a field stretcher, they can fit a role there. And for the Jaguars, hey, they actually got a guy that can play outside because they kept signing all the freaking slot options. But a lot of money for Zay Jones. Hey, props to him. That's his first big payday.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I'm never going to knock a player for getting their money. Sometimes I just question what teams think they're doing. And like again, I could see adding Christian Kirk. And you've convinced me. Maybe money a little much, but maybe Zay Jones not such bad. But then they get Evan Ingram. And anyway, another team spending a little bit of money is Miami. You mentioned they grabbed them some Teddy Bridgewater to back up Tua. Well, they also signed Chase Edmonds and Cedric Wilson. Mm-hmm. So they're trying to build up, trying to help out Tua, trying to make this work. Seems like they're out of the Deshaun Watson sweepstakes. It seems like now they're really, truly going to try and if things can be believed, they're out of the Tom Brady sweepstakes as well. And so now you just got them really trying to put some talent around to try and make this shit work. And I'll give them credit for that because I do like Chase Edmonds, and Cedric Wilson was impressive last year. So, and with that being said, I saw that Arizona did re-sign James Conner. So that will help them with Edmonds out. But, I kind of like what Miami's doing, to be honest. A little more than I like what Jacksonville's doing, I guess.
Certainly. They are finally setting up Tua Tagovailoa to have something. It really started with the franchise tag. They kept Mike Gesicki, which honestly is a smart thing. He's not a typical tight end. Honestly, he's a receiver that they kept for $11 million. So they kept Gesicki. They brought in. That's right. And Cedric Wilson he could be a nice supporting cast guy.
Right.
It'd be interesting. He played for my Cowboys, and a lot of people that'll go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe he got that much money." If you pay attention, that is about what he was predicted to sign. Spotrac was spot on with it. They had him right around that exact average salary. And he's a flanker that can play in the slot. That's perfect. I think that can complement Jalen Waddle very well. So, right. And I guess Devontae Parker's still there, but at least adding weapons, and they haven't lost anyone significant. I guess Will Fuller's out the door, but he didn't do anything for him.
Right. And I mean, they're spending some money on a running back, which they don't normally do. They just draft those guys super late. I mean, so. Right. Gaskin truthers, hey, he's got some competition, but he had it last year. So I mean, they had that mishmash of running backs, and now bringing in a Chase Edmonds should help a lot. And he can catch the ball. It's going to be good for Tua to have that outlet there. So I think it's good stuff. We'll see what happens. Now, there's a couple of guys still out there. Obviously, Amari Cooper going to Cleveland led to the Browns cutting Jarvis Landry. Reports I've seen cite the Bills and the Chiefs as being interested in Landry. And then we have Allen Robinson floating around out there. Browns, Chiefs, and Lions seem to all be interested in him. What do you think about those two players and where they might end up?
I'll start with Allen Robinson. It would just be the perfect storytell ending where the Chiefs, who chose Watkins over Robinson many years ago, are able to complete the circle, and this time come around and they pick up Allen Robinson. Having a receiver that has some size would be nice to complement with Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce in the middle. With Jarvis Landry, one other, I'll say maybe dark horse team, very much dark horse team, is the New Orleans Saints, which Landry played at LSU, I guess would be kind of like a homecoming, but Buffalo fans don't seem to be excited about Jarvis Landry joining their team. There's some bad blood from when Landry played with the Dolphins. But I kind of go, if you're the Bills and got Josh Allen, give him as much help as possible. I will say, don't personally want that because I'm a believer in Isaiah McKenzie. I was excited that he got re-signed to a small contract. I was like, he could be the slot receiver because it does seem like Cole Beasley is just out the door in Buffalo with McKenzie coming back. But honestly, at Buffalo, you're probably going to lose Emmanuel Sanders too.
Yeah.
It doesn't hurt to bring Landry in, and who knows, maybe a cheaper option.
He doesn't
I don't
have
know how
to
much
play the slot. I remember he was that first year in Cleveland with Baker. I feel like unless my memory is betraying me, he had a pretty good year, and he wasn't just like, I don't know. I feel like Landry's a little more. I just feel like his time in Miami made him labeled strictly a slot because he was just constantly like getting those short passes. So I don't know. I feel like the Bills would definitely be interesting for Landry. Let's
see.
But imagine
he did start to play less in the slot when he went to Cleveland. It wasn't as felt like in Miami he was always in the slot,
right?
but definitely a little more versatile than probably even we give him credit for.
And that's what I'm saying. I think if he goes to the Bills playing with Josh Allen, I think that's it. He could succeed as well as McKenzie. Like, I think they could all succeed together, but what the hell do I know? So, but I do like what you said about A-Rob to the Chiefs. However, Landry can make some sense there too. But it would be interesting if Allen Robinson ended up with Cleveland. Like, what does Cleveland do? What if Cleveland somehow, because obviously they have said they would include Baker Mayfield in a trade for Deshaun Watson. 1 second. Fucking cats tonight and making all this noise. Okay. What the hell was I saying? Oh, but can you imagine the Browns trade for Deshaun Watson? They've already traded for Amari Cooper. They get Allen Robinson in free agency. I mean, with Nick Chubb, that seems pretty crazy. So we'll see. The Browns seem poised to try and make some moves. They've already done so by bringing in Amari Cooper. So it'll be interesting to see what happens. But I wouldn't mind seeing Allen Robinson team up with Amari Cooper in Cleveland, depending on. And I'd be interested to see what happens with Baker with those two. So I don't know. That's what I think with that one. But the Chiefs makes a lot of sense there.
Yeah, and I don't think we should be surprised that they've been quiet early in free agency. A lot of their stuff they've been doing is kind of internal. They restructured a Frank Clark contract, which was key. That was a crippling contract. So the fact that they got to do something was pivotal, and I think may lead into an upcoming move for the Chiefs. And I think something is kind of brewing. They weren't going to be one of the top receiver players. They just wanted those teams that needed receivers to kind of get some guys and kind of cross their fingers and go, hey, look, a Braxton Berrios is off the market. Whew. Oh, a Cedric Wilson off the market. Right. And going, hey, those guys that you mentioned, Landry and Robinson, still there and probably cheaper tomorrow than they were today.
Right. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Okay, buddy. Do you have anything else on free agency? That's about what I've got.
The only notable tight end, CJ Uzomah.
Oh, that's
signing
right,
with the Jets.
Yeah.
And I do low key. I like what the Jets are doing. Nothing flashy with the CJ Uzomah and keeping Braxton Berrios, but I go, hey, those guys. It's hitting singles in baseball. It's not a home run play, but hey, you know what? You hit enough singles and you're going to win. So props to the Jets on that. 2 key offensive upgrades, I guess we'll say. I'd like to think that they're going to hand the slot job over to Braxton Berrios.
Yeah. Hell yeah, man. Yeah, I love this time of year. Free agency stuff. Trades happening, draft coming up. Speaking of the draft, we had the combine recently as well. Now, we're not going to get a ton into it because we've got plenty of time to discuss the rookies and the draft and all of that, because that's coming next month. We have time. Now, that said, I will say one of the things people mentioned was the speed that we saw this year. And it is notable that there was a turf change at that stadium in 2020. Conspiracy theory. But anyway, so Aaron, Mr. Aaron, any thoughts on the combine, some players that really stood out? Because I didn't get a whole lot into it. I'm going to have to dig in as we get closer to the draft. So anything you want to throw out there for combine thoughts?
I'll give some quick takeaways here. One, disappointment, Isaiah Spiller. For people that have been starting to prepare for their dynasty rookie drafts, probably 2 months ago, people are going back and forth. Breece Hall or Isaiah Spiller as the top running backs in this draft class. It is Breece Hall in a landslide between those two.
That, yeah.
Just Spiller, he would have been better just not testing at all. He didn't run the 40, which is not good, because then he did the jumping drills and was horrible. So poor Spiller. The only thing going for him is he's young. A couple of risers. One guy, this was a guy that I really, really like. I still do, but now I'm kind of sad because I don't think I'm going to get him as a sleeper anymore. That's Rachaad White, running back from Arizona State. The knock on him was like, oh, well, he didn't really do anything. He's 23 years old, and what's the deal? He went the junior college route, so there is at least an explanation. And he caught a lot of passes. That's what caught my attention. And then he goes and was pretty fast at the combine. So now I think the consensus is he is now within everyone's top 5 rookie running backs. And I could see some people having him above Isaiah Spiller if they like more of the workout metrics over the youth of Spiller. But Spiller is sliding. And then if we want a Elijah Mitchell, a guy that could potentially be that, Pierre Strong, South Dakota State, small school guy. Like South Dakota State, that is super small. Yeah. The guy was electrifying. I could see him doing the Elijah Mitchell, where because he tested extremely well, despite being at a small school, he sneaks into the 5th, 6th round. He's worth the late dart throw, especially in this class. The running backs, it's not good. It quickly after Breece Hall, it gets bad. It gets ugly real quick. I think for wide receiver, there's been a guy that has been rising up boards, honestly, since the Senior Bowl. That was Christian Watson. But kind of like Rachaad White, he's not really a secret anymore because he blazed at the combine, and now people are paying attention. So, what's the argument for having your rookie draft before the NFL draft? It's because you can get a Christian Watson before the NFL draft, probably the 4th round of your rookie drafts. Now, I could see him going in the 2nd round of rookie drafts. He is rising. Sky Moore is another guy that's rising. He's a small guy, but one of the things that stood out to me was it was something like there's only 2 receivers that measured shorter than him, but he had the biggest hands out of all the receivers. And for him he went to Western Michigan, not a powerhouse school. Right. For him to leave school early, he left after just 3 seasons. Like for me, I go, I pay attention to those guys, and then you test all the combine. I'm like, this guy may be legit. In Western Michigan, that's where Dwayne Eskridge went. So with Sky Moore, he was kind of a supporting cast player, next to the 30-year-old Dwayne Eskridge in college. And then Sky Moore got his opportunity. He blazed. I think for receivers, that's the big takeaway. I'm kind of scrolling. There's other guys that tested well, but those are the 2 small school guys that really, really improved their stock there. The tight ends, no one really stood out, to be honest. Quarterbacks, there's one quarterback takeaway.
Malik Willis?
Malik Willis, he is definitely like in Superflex. I honestly believe he should be 101. Dual threat quarterback.
I find him very interesting.
Yeah, I'll take the gamble. But if you can't get Malik Willis, you may wait a little bit in quarterback because there's Desmond Ridder he's
Yeah.
intriguing because he ran really, really fast too. And people will knock him because played at Cincinnati. They went to the college football playoffs. They got curb stomped by Alabama. And that's really the people that have been against Desmond Ridder go, well, look, he played against Alabama and he looked horrible. I'm sorry. Most teams don't look good against Alabama. Like, especially if you're Cincinnati, which props to their season, but you don't have 4-star, 5-star guys playing. Like you're probably going to be outclassed. But Ridder is at least
you can't put that all on Ridder. There's a less talented offensive line in front of him.
Yeah, exactly.
Less talented weapons. So, well, let's not get carried away.
Exactly. So it's not a strong quarterback class, but in your rookie drafts, if Ritter's probably going to fall out of the first round of most people's rookie drafts. And if he does that, like, shame on everyone. Like, if he's there in the second round, draft him. Like, it's super easy. It's super flex. Get a quarterback, because quarterback values, like, even if they don't do anything the rookie season, their value doesn't change usually.
Right.
Trey Lance, I get it. Trey Lance I believe, is a better talent than Desmond Ridder. Trey Lance didn't do diddly squat this year. And arguably his dynasty value may have gone up. It's quarterbacks are weird. And if the draft capital is there with Ridder, and I don't see him falling past early second round of the NFL drafts, I don't know. And I could see a team trading up to the end of the first round to draft Ridder to have that 5th year for him. And if he's got first round draft capital, definitely take them. So for me, I think that's my 2 options with my rookie drafts is if I'm not taking Malik Willis, I don't really like Pickett. Sam Howell, Matt Corral, I don't know, but Desmond Ridder at his cost, I like.
Right. Yeah, those are the 2 I find most intriguing. So I'll kind of learn a little bit more as I dive in. But right off the bat, I have to agree with you on those guys. So, all righty. Well, excellent pointers coming out of the combine and the rookies. And again, we're going to have plenty of time to discuss that and get into that. So, any final thoughts before we get the hell out of here, Aaron?
I think this was a nice kind of first show back, something quick. There's a lot that we covered in a short amount of time, and more craziness will happen in the upcoming days. So who knows? Maybe we're back recording sooner rather than later. Yeah, you never know. Never fucking know, especially this time of year, because the more quarterback news could just be right around the corner. Oh, it's insane. All right. Well, for the salary captain, Mr. Aaron Stewart, and who you can find on Twitter at AAronStew09. And then, of course, me at RMK Madness. And you can find our podcast at DW_pod. Don't forget to check that out and like and subscribe to the YouTube channel, all of that great stuff. And we'll be back sooner or later. So for the captain and from the Mad Chatter himself, we're out of here, and we will talk to you all again sooner or later. Peace out. Stay mad, everyone.
Welcome to the show. We're mad here in the Dynasty Wonderland.